If you own an Audi with a longitudinal engine and have modified your suspension in any way, then this video is a must-watch for you. This is not going to apply to the R8 or Q7 or 8 models because they have their own unique suspension characteristics. Now, the solution to most problems that are going to arise from changing the car's suspension geometry, or let's call it its footprint, is going to be in this video, and I'm going to give you reasons why. Now, the 034 Motorsport adjustable upper control arms is not only the best way to approach these problems, but also the most cost efficient. And we all know that good tires don't come cheap, especially in the size and the specs required for your Audi. Now, compound that with running larger or wider wheels, and you can mark up that price even more. And due to the change in suspension geometry, your contact patch with the ground is going to be affected. Now, a good example of this is going to be to pay attention to your camber when you lower the car. And you'll notice the top portion of your wheels will tuck inwards, giving you negative camber. As a result, the inner portion of your tire will have the majority of contact against the ground, and your tires are going to start wearing asymmetrically. While every minor adjustment is going to be made on a factory setup, you'll need adjustable camber correcting upper control arms to reduce the negative camber and bring the car back to neutral camber, or 0 degrees of camber. This is of course going to be most ideal for a daily road-driven car or a drag setup. And if your car is reserved as a weekend warrior or a track toy like mine, then you probably want to stick around for the last 3 reasons. Reason number 4 is going to be acceleration and braking. Now, your car is going to depend just as much on your braking setup as it's going to depend on your tires to properly come to a stop. And the smaller your contact patches with the ground, the longer it will take your car to come to a stop over a specified distance. And to add, keep in mind with abnormal tire wear, you may also run into torque steering. This is a completely different topic, but in short, it's when a vehicle tends to pull over to one side during acceleration or braking. The same applies to acceleration, and your car will naturally fight for traction as you go heavy on the throttle. And the larger your contact patch, the faster your car will get the traction it needs. You'll find a neutral camber in most drag racing cars, as they need both maximum acceleration and braking when they're flying down the strip at high speeds. And for acceleration and braking, you still want as close to, if not, neutral camber. Reason number 3 is when all the fun begins and it comes to alignment and fine-tuning your suspension. Now, it's going to be usually at your favorite alignment shop that you'll realize and hopefully accept the necessity of having the adjustable upper control arms. When my A4 went in for its corner balance, the alignment professional told me just how much I'd benefit from the adjustable upper control arms. And unfortunately for me, at the time they weren't available, and I had no doubt in my mind that I'd be getting them from 034 Motorsport, as they've been making it for prior models. So I reached out and they told me it was already in development. Long story short, I ended up getting it. In order to get the most out of an alignment for you, you'll want the most amount of freedom of adjustments. And while your first few alignments are going to be minor adjustments, it's when the car's been used for a respectable amount of time and miles that you'll end up needing to spend a lot of money to replace factory bushings or control arms in general. The factory rubber is going to be there for your comfort and noise reduction. Therefore, it's a little softer than most aftermarket solutions, and it's going to be more prone to collapse or wear a lot quickly. Instead of resorting to this is where the cost efficiency of 034 Motorsport adjustables comes into play. While initially they'll cost you a few $100 to have, they're not only more durable and longer lasting than the factory arms, they're also designed to be rebuildable. 034 is already selling rebuild kits for the prior models, and when it's time for a replacement, unlike the factory control arms, you can instead have them rebuilt at a much lower cost than a full replacement. Now, combine that with the degrees of freedom to adjust camber, your overall cost of ownership and quality of drive are going to be improving in the long run. For reason number 2, this is performance and cornering, and this is my favorite reason. It's going to start getting fun when you start looking for the most out of your car. And we can all agree Audis come with their fair share of understeer and lack of character or feedback. And while there are many solutions to minimize the understeer to a certain extent and maximize the excitement you get out of driving your car, out of personal experience, I would give most credit to probably my upper control arms first and then my track spec sway bar kits second. The fun fact is, if you've ever watched a race, especially in open wheel cars, you're going to notice just how much negative camber they show. And this is necessary for maximizing the car's performance during cornering. And to explain in the shortest way I can, and keep in mind there are many videos out there that dive into the physics of why negative camber is beneficial, this is what I'm going to share with you guys. When cornering, the weight of the car is always going to be transferred to the outside wheel, meaning if you're turning left, your right wheels are going to have the most amount of weight on them. And as this happens and the vehicle rolls over to the outside wheel, the outside tire is going to be pressed against the ground, and having a correctly determined negative camber, and again, this is something to consult your alignment professional with, it's going to help in ensuring the contact patch is maximized on the outside tire during cornering, and it's going to maximize your grip. Reason number 1, behavior and response. And this is where all the previously mentioned reasons mesh, where everything comes down to how much information your car gives you and how much it talks to you, how much it tells you about what it's doing. Now, granted, while your needs are going to vary, some of you are going to benefit from the camber correcting control arms, and the others are going to benefit from the track spec control arms. It all comes down to your end goal, and you have to have one in mind. Are you going to drive the car every day? Are you going to be drag racing? Or do you intend to enjoy your time off on the racetrack or on local canyons? Now, upon choosing the right set, you're going to be benefiting from a car that translates every bump, every ounce of G-force in a corner, or simply every bit of the road for acceleration and braking right back into your steering wheel and seat. This minimizes, if not eliminates, the guesswork, leaving you to focus on improving yourself as a driver. Now, with that said, and I hope you guys found some useful information in this video, please stay tuned for the next one to come very soon, not only regarding my experience and the review of the 034 upper adjustable control arms I run the track spec, but also how to properly select the correct one for you and your needs and what each version has to offer. I've also included a link in the description to them where you can get a good read on the differences each variant has to offer. And your support and views are greatly appreciated, guys. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll be sure to deliver more B984 content very soon.